I'm that girl who is not even ashamed. I'm shameless now. Shameless that I have amazing friends and I won't stop talking about it or bragging about it because I want to share them with everybody. Sharing's caring, especially good friends. So welcome, Greg. How are you doing today?
Hi, Joanne. I'm doing great. Doing great. I'm in New York. We're in the middle of our winter, and we really just got our first snow today, and it's like this much. I'm a skier, so I'm disappointed, but it is what it is.
I'm
But
sorry for
otherwise, doing well. Staying warm, keeping a fire in the wood stove, doing good.
you. Yeah, I saw your wood pile in that photo you sent me of your gorgeous homestead. And I just thought, it actually looks really cute. Like Christmas card cute for what the illusion of Christmas is, all snowy and stuff. But of course, we're now summer, and we have barbecues for Christmas, um, and lots of sun time when we can get it. So yay for us
Yes, you
being.
show me the pictures. Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So, and isn't it funny because we're working on editing the book, the two books right now, the time book and also I mean, like it's got a catchy title, which probably shouldn't have stayed, but it definitely is staying as the title, which is Depressed People Don't Eat Salad. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, depressed people eat anything or nothing, depending on how they use food for love and blah, 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 blah. But it's a giggle. It's a giggle. I'm so tempted to put chocolate as the cover image of the book. It's shameless, so shameless right now. So yes, so thank you very much for supporting us with the editing of that. And how did you even stumble across like this work or Dolores Cannon's work? I mean, give me your journey.
I would say it all started like around 2005, and that was the year I started yoga. They were giving it free at work, just a free class at work. And I lived in a white collar environment. We all had ties, very stressful deadlines, all that. I think there were 200 people working at the factory. How many do you think showed up for the free yoga? Max
Two?
was like seven. It was like between seven and three people, but it affected me. It stuck in. I did it every week, and what yoga does is it brings meditation. And
Mm.
meditation. Once I started meditating and getting into that, um, a whole new world opened up. It took me about a year. It took me about a year to understand what yoga was and what it was teaching me, and realizing this is a lifestyle, and this is a description of the world, really. And so that was a big thing. About a year into yoga, I started meditating, and then boom, all of a sudden things opened up, and then you connect to your subconscious, and then things really change. That's when I started getting hints. Not words. You don't hear words, but just feelings, tendencies that you need to get out of this job, dude. You're a creative guy and you're doing this thing, just all these indications really pushing my life somewhere else to be creative, to get out of the matrix, I guess. So there was that calling. And that started like, yeah, about a year into yoga. And right about that same time, I've always been a big reader and I always read pretty esoteric stuff. I'm trying to push the boundaries and understand what the reality is we're living in here. And I'm never happy. I never this isn't enough. I need to keep digging and digging and digging. And one of the things I came across right about that same time was the law of one channeling. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
People
Carla
talk
Reichert did
about
it in like
yeah,
the
people talk about it. I haven't read it. I've channeled
oh
them in, but it's very interesting because I think people were questioning that information as I was channeling it because I like to do that. I like to have no idea. I just listened to a video I did about how Jong talking about ego. It was hilarious because he was a confessor and he had ego when he was teaching ego. Very funny. So, but I don't know. I haven't read that book, and I know people keep telling me I should, and people keep telling me I should read heaps of other books, and I haven't. But I have channeled them and experienced them, and it kind of seems like that's my life. Focus is that
yeah.
aspect of it. But I love when people can recognize our work with other information because it kind of just falls in pieces for them, I think.
And I would say to me it was very similar. Like when I came across the law of one, it was like, whoa, I just stopped and said, this is a different voice. This is something I haven't read anything like this with this voice and the way they're talking to me. And it sure as fuck sounds like the truth. I read it 4 times. I was that like, whoa, this is mind blowing. And I know a lot of people get critical of it, the details of it, but pretty much it's opening the door to the metaphysical stuff, the soul swapping, reincarnation, a lot of that, the details of that. And what I noticed as well is it was dovetailing perfectly with my yoga stuff, all the yoga, discussions, all different labels and stuff, but the whole description of how life works and all that was all exactly the same. So to me, that was confirmation and that was truth. Yeah. And I noticed as well, like when I came across the conversations with heaven on earth about a year and a half ago, the same thing happened. This bell went off in my head. Said, whoa, this is different. This isn't people talking. And my brain responds to that very differently. And I just was pulled right in. It's like, oh, this is what I need to be listening to. And this is really all there is now.
Yeah. Well, I was very much aware of, my ego, which is a personality, which is, my experience here on earth thus far. And I sort of, had strong suspicions that the ego wasn't balanced in certain ways. And I really wanted to be able to find out the information that we're exploring. And so, really wanted to push out the human ego to allow, the subconscious's ego to come in and all of his glory. um, and then others. So I also was seeking information, but I could feel intuitively, which used to make me feel judgmental when I was hearing people channeling, and it wasn't it wasn't it was human ego translations of their own personal belief systems. It seems like there's this big thing right now. I always feel like there's themes that they want me to go through. And for me personally, it is about recognizing where the inner work is for the person. Because even if you can channel, if you've still got a whole lot of limited perspectives or fear or undeveloped metaphysical perspectives, you sort of can channel, but channel up on top of that. And it seems like they're really wanting people to clean house, do your inner work, because there are some people who channel, but they're twisting their senses quite heavily with fear out of that. So, fun times and all, no judgment, but trying to help people recognize what's their blocks for them to clear house, to be able to get sometimes it's labels, names, fears, limited perspectives, heavily indoctrinated opinions that a channeler still merges and knits into their perspectives.
Now, the law of one, they tried to mitigate that, I guess, by using 3 people for the channeling.
Mm-hmm.
They described that quite a bit, and they had a person, writing down the notes. They had a person delivering the questions, kind of like you would as a predictioner, and then Carla would be there in trance, outputting the law of one. But it took 3 people. They thought to avoid the ego, the ego coloring of the message.
Yeah. Well, I sort of feel like, the personality, I know when I try to push myself so far back, I fall asleep. I did fall asleep once. For me, it felt like I was gone forever and came back, and I was like, oh no. Like, how long was I out for? It was not the finest moments, but when I listened back, it actually wasn't very long at all. But for my perspective of time and concept for time, it was very different. But I don't want to hear my human ego. I want to hear from the advanced beings who are desperately trying to break down the doors to reach us, to give us the high perspectives. And so I love trying to find ways to expand upon this, to prove the information that we're getting. I love doing blind sessions where the clients have no clue what the questions are. I feel like that gives such validity and confidence to the clients, as well as to the people, anyone that's listening. That's why I feel like that book, The Shift to the New Earth, it's a long title. I keep nicknaming it, Exploring the Shift to New Earth. I feel like the way that we did 10 different people with very similar questions, I feel like for a skeptic, potentially, they're actually going to see the consistencies of the delivery of the the translations of the channeling, even with, some human aspects to it to try and explain it.
Yeah, I would hope so too. Yeah. But I think a lot of people have, struggle with just accepting channeling.
Yeah.
If I tell someone this is channel information, click, turn it right off. It's bizarre.
Well, I mean, people are struggling with heaps of things, like their own intuition, their own inner knowing, their own wisdom. People, we're used to doubting. We're good at doubting and denying and dismissing. We don't want anything new. We're already overwhelmed with our fears and our worries and our, all of our other stuff that's very confusing, and we're hyper focused on that. So to have a beautiful offer like, hey, free yoga, no thanks. I'm busy self-sabotaging my life and fucking myself over this way. Thank you. How dare you try to help me? And it's like with interns are free. I've had quite a few people say, why on earth would I want a free, why would I want an intern? You kidding me? Kids, they must be just kids. They're gonna fuck around with me. And I sort of think, at this point, to be honest, we're fucking ourselves up enough. Like
Have been, yeah.
yeah, yeah, with love, all guilty of it at some point. And the interns are so focused on getting it right, so focused, but it's just new to them. They haven't got into any bad routines or habits. They still very much aware I'm learning and I'm growing. So they're fucking open. They're open to hearing everything to try and understand it, right? Desperately wanting to understand it because they're realizing this is a big key. This is a big window of opening up to talk to the neighbors, Mr. Subconscious. And it's really an important time, I think, for any practitioner's journey to have as much diverse clients within being an intern as possible. Because often it sort of seems like they say, well, I'll just go through my family and friends. I'll just force my loved ones to, and that's what I sort of did. And then I kind of got into this spiritual group that was here in Wellington, and I kind of went through some of their sort of friends. So they were really removed from me. I had no kind of, so when you do friends, you assume you know everything about their lives, so you don't go digging.
Right.
um, I definitely learned. And by the time, I mean, I still did free sessions for much more than 25 sessions, that's for sure. But because it was still a journey that I was loving and enjoying and working through. So anyway, keep going with your story. I'll find some duct tape.
So, anyways, I guess I'll get to how I got to the Tibetan bowls. So yeah, doing yoga, I got deep into the yoga. I mean, I practiced very hard for 10 years. I've done many types of yoga. I'm now a teacher. That's my life. It's my thing. And it opened a lot of doors. And my first teacher, Enrique, this guy from Peru, gave me one Tibetan bowl. This one right here. Years ago, and he said, Greg, you want a bowl? I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And it sat around for a few years. And eventually I was driven. I don't remember what the motivation was here, but I was driven to actually buy a set of bowls. So I bought like 7 bowls. And I'm hitting them and doing it. I'm like, this is cool, but I need to understand. I'm an engineer. I'm a musician. So I want notes. I want assignments to chakras. I want to know all this shit, And I started looking online at the information. It was just all over the place. You could find 5 or 6 different correlations of chakra to note or whatever. And so I'm not happy with this. I'm not going to practice sound healing until I understand it, believe in it, and it's very authentic to me. So I went nowhere with this. I had these 7 bowls. I'm doing my thing, and I'm just like, I don't quite understand what's going on here. It's cool, but I don't understand it. And then I met another sound healer, a girl who did the crystal bowls, and she pulled me right in and says, dude, you got to stop thinking. Let's just do this. So she just like, we did one practice. We got our bowls out. We hit them. We found out which ones kind of synced up a little bit together. And then we did an event, and it was amazing. It was really amazing. We did crystal bowls. I doing the metal bowls. I'm like, this is really cool. I still don't quite understand it, but this is really cool. So we did this for a while. It was very cool. We had huge events in this yoga studio we were doing it. It was really such a wonderful time. And then COVID came and shut everything down. I ended up not staying with that sound healer. We were partners for a while, and then we kind of split up. And I realized, well, I gotta maybe do this by myself, because she was taking care of a lot of the ceremony part of it. You know, it's kind of a big thing. We do incense, we do lighting, we do some chanting. Sometimes we'll invoke angels, you know, all kinds of stuff. And she was very good at that. So all of a sudden I'm kind of on my own, like, oh shit, I guess I got to get this together. So what I did is I ordered another set of bowls, and I got in touch with this guy in Nepal, and he was casting bowls on a full moon. They were beautiful bowls. I saw the photos, like these are amazing. They were cast on a full moon, and they have a priest bless the bowls upon the casting, and then the guy has a sound healer wife, and she assembles the bowls into a kit, and then they send it to you. So I said, this sounds pretty cool. So I ordered that. They came. They were beautiful. I mean, they were just, oh, they sounded nothing like the other bowls I had. These are just amazing, but they didn't make any sense to me at all. No, I'm like, what the fuck? Two of the bowls were about the same. There was no scale going on at all. I'm like, what do I do with these? I didn't know what to do. So I had my old bowls. I had kind of one bowl that kind of linked them together. So I would just kind of do this big thing. And then remember I told you I did a recording at my friend's house of the bowls down in near a stream with birds and stuff cheeping. So anyways, I was down there one day doing all the recording, hanging out. I came home late night, unloading the car like 11:30 at night, and I set all my bowls on the edge of my porch railing as I'm climbing in. And sure enough, they took a drop like 6 feet. All my bowls hit the driveway, and I lost like four of them. Four of them got dented so bad they could not be used. And they were my old bowls. These are the old bowls. So now I have just my new bowls and just a couple of the old bowls. And what do I do? What do I do? I still wasn't understanding it, so I still really wasn't comfortable with delivering this on my own. It had to be authentic. I had to understand it. I had to believe in it. And so then one night, about 2 years ago, just home in my apartment alone in the winter, and full disclosure, there were psychedelics involved here. But I hung out with my bowls, and they taught me what they did. I can't really remember the details of it, but whatever happened that night, I still remember it, and it continues on. It wasn't false. In fact, the descriptions they gave me, I've only honed them and made them more specific. You know, they're kind of general when I first learned them, and the more I worked the bowls, the more I came to understand what they actually did. And so through that moment, when the bowls kind of told me this is what we do, there's nothing to do with chakras. And what it is, I have two bowls that were like an octave apart, and originally I was kind of told they were kind of a womb energy. And as I worked with it, I realized, well, this is actually the Merkaba. These are the inverted pyramids of the Merkaba that we're activating. And I have one bowl, it's a time bowl that essentially stops time, brings you right into the present moment. I have one bowl that's a transformation bowl, and this opens up the channel between yourself and your higher self. Then I have three bowls that represent the higher self. And so when I do a sound healing, pretty much we activate the Merkaba. We stop time. We connect through this channel to the higher selves. And then I have a bowl called the joy bowl or the bliss bowl. And then we let that ring, and that just fills everything with glory and joy. Now, one of the cool things about this, so I have all metal bowls, right? So I got it figured out. It's working well. And then I actually got back with that original sound healing partner, a girl who did the crystals. And as we got together, I'm telling her, this is really how it's supposed to be done. We're supposed to have me over here in the metal, and I'm kind of doing a framework for these bodies. I kind of open the bodies up, align them in energetic ways, and then you come into the crystal bowls with an angelic kind of energy, and it just washes through where we've already set up the body for this energy. And this is one thing that really blew me away. I described that to her, and it felt right, felt authentic, and it always has felt authentic since that time. But maybe a year after that, I was watching a movie called The Dakini Code, which is about Tibetan monks in Tibet, obviously. And it's a beautiful movie if you like Tibet. If you don't like Tibet, you'll be asleep in like 3 minutes. But they're saying things in this movie, like this one monk is saying, the masculine energy is structure, and the feminine energy is wisdom. So it's essentially saying what I already knew, and I'm wondering, how did I know that? How did I understand this relationship between the masculine and the feminine and the different bowls, and one is structured and one isn't? And then we did my session about a few months ago, and when I asked, do I have a Tibetan connection? I don't know if you remember, the response was just laughing. They're just like, yeah, dude, like you really need to ask. You know you're hooked up. So interesting connection there.
It was, I think, before your session, was that when I explored the parallel life of the Tibetan nun?
Oh,
It's
that sounds familiar. Yeah, I don't.
interesting times. Um, well, when I had done some exploring, and they were talking about this, and I'm wondering how this all fits in, is that when we were talking about how we've always been a part of Gaia because we're physically her, because she is the physical, and that the father um, is the inner wisdom, inner knowing, our soul essence, which isn't physical. I'm wondering how that all
Hmm.
forms in. But it's kind of like, I think because I sort of dismiss details of like names and a whole lot of stuff, because usually when I grab information, it would be trying to read it, and if it was a new word that I couldn't confidently pronounce, it's dead to me. And so I understand, I'm really blindly avoid from any actual other readings, even though I know people desperately want me to read a whole lot of stuff. I kind of feel like maybe I'm lazy, and maybe I just lean on my teams too much and say, give me this information so I can understand it. Because everyone gets to have the journey of their lives, and that's fantastic. I feel like for your journey, you want to help people so desperately. You wanted to 100% know intuitively and be able to verbalize, I'm a sound doctor, and here what I've just done to you, and here's what's doing to you. Like, you wanted to be able to be so helpful to your people, to yourself, that you wanted to be able to label and say, well, I think when I did this note, that cleansed out some density in your organs because you're holding some, belief systems
Right.
that worthy or something. Like, I love your approach. I love how connected you are. I loved your session. Loved your session we did together. I can't remember how long ago it was, but I know that your teams were talking about, it was, they said something about a guitar, and I was like, it sounds really important. They were like, I still remember that part of it, that they were saying he needs to pick up an acoustic. Was it, tell us that story.
Yeah, that was great. I've been a musician my whole life. I've been in rock bands my whole life. I stopped being a rock band when I became a yoga teacher. It was just too much energy, too much at the same time. But um, where are we going again? I kind of lost my train of thought there.
Is the why do you think they want you to bring into the music? Do you think they're trying to make
Yeah.
your
So yeah.
business
So I
bring
was
in
a musician. Yeah.
pop culture into
And
the
in the last like year and a half, I've been living in this cabin, kind of isolated, and I hadn't been playing guitar. And like a year ago, I was getting into some electronic music. I did a few things, but that kind of dried up too. So it was just all kind of, I was just kind of letting it go, being lazy. And then when we had the session and they talked about the guitar, it was profound. And I started playing guitar immediately, and I'm still playing a lot. And it's, it's back in my life, and it needs to be. And that was awesome. I really appreciated that.
yeah. It's like, it's incredible when we have advanced souls. I always say advanced souls, I know that's a label because we're all advanced, right? We're all one. But when we have souls that have got great skill sets with energy, and when we can't use our own energy in our own bodies, we need tools as an extension of self. We usually wouldn't need these tools when we were in other dimensions. For you, you are so gifted and in tune and entwined with energy that you would have gone fucking batshit crazy mad if you couldn't get this energy back into your experience on Earth. And so,
Yes.
therefore, these instruments have come to be of service for you to be able to do what you do best, which is working with energy in the form of sound.
Yeah.
So you shared with me this little sample of your music, and I was like, okay, cute. Thank you for that, and kind of thought I'll get to it, and which is terrible because I'm going to admit this. I was like, ugh, I want to hear it. I don't know how long it is. It's a gamble, and it was like I don't know 5 a.m. still. I'd already been up, and I just thought, oh well, something prompted me. No, go back. Give it honor. And so I did. And I just put it really close to my ear because, the family was sleeping. So I was just on my phone and I just sort of was trying to just relax before, the start of the day. And holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. It was magic. It was
So not even headphones,
not even headphones, one ear, my friend,
one
one
little speaker. Damn.
ear, low as, very, very low, not to disturb the family. And so yeah, that's on my little phone. And wow, I was on a journey. It was beautiful, it was enlightening, it was full of epiphanies. And
Yeah.
I honestly looked at my phone and I was like, you're fucking magic. It was amazing. And it was like I was put into a place of an experience that I had here on earth, obviously, and then could see it from a different perspective, made peace with it, and then boom, next scene, boom, next scene. And
Wow.
I don't know how many, day trips I did in terms of exploring experiences. And it was kind of like, wow, were these like sticking points for me potentially? And it was sort of
Mm,
a little life journey, a little life review, but it was fast because that video or that sound was only 10 minutes long, and it
yeah.
was deep going in, experiencing it. I was observing it, so it wasn't the reaction of the events or the situations, and it was just cleansing and clearing and just releasing. And it was like, oh, this is powerful. And I don't whether I don't know whether this is what, sound healing does for everyone normally. This is just kind of my first experience of having that. I don't know whether it's just because now I'm more open to it because I have listened to sound healing music before and I've really appreciated it. And I've also channeled what the information was that they're wanting the codes and the information. And I find that very fascinating because I'm also very curious about what's happening and being able to identify the healing or the messages or the information or whatever. I do know, however, like there are some people that pretend to do light language and it's empty. That's just them entertaining with sound and being silly. And it has no true connections. And I would imagine for some people who aren't able to tap in as you can, it's cute to make sounds and make music all the time, but there is just different levels of
Yes. And
gifts.
I think you are extra, sensitive to this, and that's why you could pick up on just a little audio recording in one ear, because normally it's an immersive experience. Everybody's in the room and it's very 3D, it's very visceral, you're feeling things.
Hmm.
And I would say what you're describing is your reaction is very common. I hear that a lot from the people there. There's like things just moving. These stories were kind of going through, and this one lady's arm started shaking. In the last event, my buddy who I was doing the event with, his son came up to me afterwards and said, "Dude, that gong." Because I do kind of a gong show, and what you do is you kind of build up the intensity and then you kind of let it down. He says, "My heart rate was totally raging when you did that off, and as soon as you let down and come down, my heart rate all came down, and it felt like such a cleansing." So that's pretty typical. You hear a lot of that. People feel very visceral things letting go. Hopefully,
Because we are energy. And so instead
yeah,
of
exactly.
going to doctors for a checkup, I would say find your like sound baths is so trendy right now. They're so cute and cool. And I've gone to a few years ago with this couple that they do it at different venues. And one was this great wooden hall. And so, oh my God, that was amazing.
Awesome.
All of the wood was
Oh,
also alive, and you were like in the womb of this wooden house, which
oh,
is where
beautiful.
I'm honestly like, and I felt fucking pissed off at the end because I was like, did you ever fucking stuff. Like, no, I'm stuck here and you're going to perform. And I was like, wait, we're here for an hour. Thank you. And I look at my clock and I was like, oh shit, that time has gone so fast. And I was not, I was not ready to come out of that experience. And I was so blown away that I followed them to the next venue, like, I don't know, a week later or whatever. And it was this office with carpet. And I was, and honestly, that hour was like the longest hour of my life.
It makes a difference, the you know, the setting, because right now I'm doing it in a yoga studio that I don't love. It's not making me happy. It's what I got, and it's a nice location. People show up, but kind of like you said, painted walls, and it's got a fake floor. And you know, my bowls they need to sit on something solid and fucking resonate, and it just doesn't happen in this thing. So we're kind of looking, like you say, to find a new place, because it just really brings out the energy so much better. You get the room resonates with the music, is what it is, or with the bowls.
If you could have a wooden table, or but not a table, something to place the bowls on that has more heart to it, because the surface is the importance. And
Which I do, yeah. There's
the saying that there is more that you can ask for them to help you with this, because they want to support you. But they're sort of
right on.
saying they're sort of saying you're a perfectionist now. So it's kind of like what people are starting to experience on their journey is still profound, whereas you're wanting them to have everything experience. The experience that I having
Catch
is
up, yeah.
enough. It's all enough. Yeah. So what did they tell you about the drugs, my friend, in your session when you were channeling your subconscious?
About the what?
The drugs.
You mean that I used to learn the bowls?
Did they mention drugs in your session?
I don't recall that. No.
I'm trying to think, because I think we were sort of asked, because I think you were feeling a little bit guilty of some of the uses of it just for like entertainment. And it might have been another client, sorry, but it was kind of like this, the moral that I was trying to remind myself of was we can get so much higher with energy without any like aids or tools. But it might have been a different client. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think that was me. Not that I haven't done drugs here and there, but I don't think that was in my session.
Well, good, because I don't want to pry too much. But yeah, it's a whole thing of being in a higher frequency when you're doing the music and that sort of stuff. That if we do drugs, I mean, I haven't done anything. So I live a small life. Where it's the high frequency is so much advanced that if we were using a mind altering thing, it can confuse us in the experience.
Sure.
It's just, you know, it's another tool, and it's interesting because I feel like you probably, you know, I think you get very high naturally in that state.
I'm a different person. Yeah. When I'm doing the performance, I'm not even me. It's strange.
Would you say kind of like in a trance?
Kind of, yeah. Just kind of like almost like somebody takes over. It's interesting.
The
Very,
energy.
yeah, very much a trance. Very, I'm not thinking thoughts at all. It's very interesting, but it feels very different than my normal me.
Do you feel like you'd be like channeling in your subconscious who can work through the energy, or do you feel like it's another lifetime of you with the skill sets of, say, well, however you are connected into Tibet, it's a parallel life or something, or something. I mean, it's still
I think
fantastic.
it's yeah, I think it's a channel there. You know, it's when we did my session, and it was interesting when I listened back to this, I can tell exactly when I started believing it was actually my subconscious talking. Because at first I didn't think, oh, it was just me talking.
Mhm.
And that's when I kind of realized how tied in my subconscious actually is to my conscious mind, like a lot more than I thought. And so I think that, you know, when I go into the sound healing mode, and even when I'm teaching yoga, I snip into a different mode.
Yeah.
It's
Did you
interesting.
did you have other lifetimes? I can't remember your session.
They said some number of three is either 3 or 300. We couldn't figure it out. And I've
What did you, in the beginning part, did you explore other lifetimes or just this lifetime?
we didn't do any other lifetimes in the session. I did have a girlfriend though that went to a psychic,
Mhm.
and the psychic actually kind of tapped into me a little bit, and she was real good. And she kind of described my previous life as a female prostitute, and I was like, oh, that rings a bell. That sounds right, and it sounded very, very true. I'm like, yeah, that, yep. So that's about all the insight I've had into my previous life is that I was a whore last life, and I
Well,
loved it.
it's a lot. Um, do you well, I'm trying to think. So did we just go to this lifetime and explore this lifetime then in the regression? Okay,
Yeah.
fascinating. Because usually when that sort of happens, I will always sort of when we just explore this lifetime, it makes me want to question the subconscious and be like, how many other lifetimes? Why just this lifetime? Often they say all the other lifetimes are done. There is no connections to this lifetime or whatever. It's
Hmm.
always purposeful.
Yeah.
It's great. Hmm. Um,
But yeah,
okay.
but pretty much in this lifetime and the connections I'm feeling now is about all that drives right now.
Yes, perfect. Yeah. I'm just wondering, so you've read Mastering Human. Did you pace yourself?
I haven't completed it. I'm about like three-quarters of the way through, and yeah, very much pacing myself. I started out reading it quite quickly, and then I slowed way down. It was down to like 2 or 3 pages a day,
It's a
and
huge, yeah.
so I'm about three-quarters of the way through. But the new book out here, the New Earth book, and I've been diving into that, and it's a much quicker read.
Yeah. Yeah.
With all this stuff, I know all the material. Um, so it's all just a refresher, a welcome refresher. And we've talked about this, how the brain receives information. You can hear things, and it's kind of at one level. You read something, it's a different level. And I found even with editing, holy shit, that's another level yet. you know,
Yeah, because it's within you and you're trying
yeah,
to express it and you've got to think about it. And like reading's nice because you can just, I understand that and then I'll mull over it. But when you're editing it, it's like you've absorbed it and then you're trying
totally.
to it's different. Yeah, yeah. it's, it's something else. It is incredible how we are it's like we're holding the energy of the information in its entirety when we're working with the editing, and it's a lot. It's a big weight because you can feel the responses of people, um, and how they're either in shock with it or how they feel really empowered by it. And so when we were editing it, it was like there was this roller coaster of emotions where it was like, oh my God, this is so heavy. People are so
Yes,
right now, and just trying to ground yourself and and they were sort of saying that we were buffering the emotions because when there was some tough times with the session information, we could see people just wanting to throw the book down and be like, I'm done with this, is too much. And it was kind of like we were supporting them by absorbing their shock and their pain to some degree for them to just keep going
interesting.
through. It's okay, there is still more. You're going to be fine. And it was quite a lot to
Because
do.
that's the other thing. Yeah, because like I would say I've been doing inner work for almost 20 years now. Starting with the yoga and stuff, and I've done a lot of things. The Reiki, I've done this intentional 5D healing. It's called. It was very powerful. So as I read this information, it's like, yeah, 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 yeah. But I've spent 20 years getting to the point where I can say that. And I wonder about people nowadays who haven't done their inner work, getting all this information at once. That's got to be a lot. And I've
I
taken it, I've learned it gradually over the years, and now I'm to the point where I understand it. I don't know how it is for someone to just get all of this at once, and how do you swallow that?
I still feel like if I was going to, push my books onto anyone, I would sort of say, "Hi, yeah, maybe Mastering Human is a good one because it's truly self empowering without too much of like, say, Mastering Old Earth, where it's like, Mastering Old Earth was designed for people who were living after the event, and so you don't need to
Yeah.
have you're not in doubt. You're not like, oh, I wonder if this is bullshit. You're like, lived it. I'm here on the old earth, and shit is real. It's a real. So from that sort of perspective, and then they were sort of saying to us, well, we could buffer this for them by going through this journey of emotions ourselves, to be able to do exactly what we're doing as editors, right? This information, they're feeling in this information, that they're in this very dense time when they're reading Mastering Old Earth, when they're after the events, and most people have, or a big proportion, whatever, have exited. Us processing these emotions for them, and healing ourselves and getting into balance and neutral from this perspective is going to be helpful for these people who are actually going to be living that and experiencing that and using that manual as it was intended while you're on the official Old Earth time.
Right. The
Which
buffering is very interesting. Yeah.
A mind bend, yes.
Yeah.
So interesting that you talked about the time with your gong, your bowl. That's fantastic, because with the other time book that we're also working on, it's all about the experience and the perspective of time. That's fascinating. It's that book, I would say, the time book is probably like, if you've done all your homework, if you've sorted everything out and you're good with all the other books, time book, here you go. And there's lots that aren't public, for various reasons. So I am nervous about people just picking up and not having any clue of any of this information, picking up Mastering Old Earth and freaking out. But
Right.
that's me helicoptering this shit out of people who need this information to activate them, because they're here for it, literally here for it. Like, I had a session yesterday, and they're saying that most of the souls that are here, who are in support, are here for the shift. They are here for the events. This is it. This is their whole purpose of being here on Earth, is to be the big energy bearers of just balance and neutral, and being okay with this being in survival mode, this epic, intensive survival mode. And those are the people that love the zombie movies. They love all of this blah, 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 blah. And that's reminding them of the role that they're going to be playing soon, which is still pretty full on.
It's crazy.
I wanted to say there was I'm annoyed because I did a session yesterday where they were asking about the sound frequency from the 432, and now it's been changed to the 440, and they gave this great answer, and now I'm like, I'm sure you'd probably like to hear that. The answer.
Yeah, I've done some digging into that. Yeah. The 440 is pretty disempowering, actually. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, the
And
thing
we've
was,
been using that for how many years? Hundreds of years. Yeah.
maybe we have to explore this more, because
It's interesting. Yeah.
the response that subconscious said was, it was exactly what he confirmed. This was just great intuition for him, blah, 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 which is fantastic for him. But for me listening, I was like, well, what did he think? It's like, I feel like, they're trying to get me onto this journey as well and explore everything for everyone who is curious, but, either
That's a whole lot, too. Jeez.
totally just all of this concepts of the world and all of the history, just throw it in there. Well, they're wanting us to do some more current sessions, to be able to update people with the status of the significance of certain things, just so we can get that bigger perspective. While we all have all as well, we do get kind of curious. Like, I'm still loving the whole statement of the reasoning and the rationality behind the egg shortage. Doesn't make so much sense. And like,
yeah, that was great.
When you're half awoke and you're just focusing on the disempowerment and the worry of all this stuff, like, I was pretty shocked the other day when, I'm not a big labels fan and a name fan, like, I'm pretty simple, and I'm quite happy to be simple. When I was channeling the other day, and they were saying about how some events are going to come, which is then going to trigger the new world order, I was like, ooh, yuck. Like, yuck. Like, I wouldn't consciously use that term. I kind of want to be
Yeah.
dismissive of that kind of stuff because, when you look into that sort of stuff, you can get a bit panicky, potentially because, just feels like more control systems and blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. So when my subconscious was chatting about it, I was like, oh God, you guys know all of that sort of stuff. And you're actually like using that term, like that's a bit, um, but yeah, I can definitely see it coming now, how everything is, slowly but surely unfolding. So we're going to do some more sort of current sessions like that, just some small
Nice.
ones, just to help people, because I know when we hear information about, okay, cool, the eggs, yeah, that makes sense. The chickens that want to come here, that those experiences have totally been done and dusted, for the whatever, is it a chicken collective or whatever? Calling in the
Here it
collective,
is. Yeah.
yeah, chicken McNuggets. Yeah, it's interesting, right? So super purposeful in so many layers, and so exploring that. And
Have you tried pulling the chicken collective in during a session?
I was the
The
same.
horse session, that was insane. That was you know,
Yeah. Um, I because we were talking and you were editing that one, and it was weird because I had forgotten about that session and then drove the same road where I saw that horse and another horse, and they did this head nodding thing, and I just saw it, and I was, oh, that's
that's so crazy.
it's just a coincidence that two horses are there. And I was like, is that the same horse that I did this thing with, like the other, like ages ago, or, yesterday? It's the same thing, really. It was very interesting. And then I'd shared that session with you to edit, and then you were like, oh, this is the horse thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, such small little coincidences. But it was amazing that they were there. I felt like they were, now that I'm thinking about it, it was so obvious. They were waiting for me to drive past, and then they nodded at me as a acknowledgement. And the fact that the horse wasn't alone anymore, it was with a buddy. And it was really a special, sweet experience that
That's amazing. Yeah.
at the time I was like just driving with the kids, and we are heading to the beach, and I was just like, are your horse, our two horses, either nodding, are you? Completely oblivious to it. But when I slowed down and realized the consistencies of all that stuff, it's pretty amazing. And this is what they keep saying to us now, isn't it? That slow down, notice all these little things. They have
Absolutely. Yep.
meaning, they have purpose, they have significance. What is it? It still seems like people that I know listen to the sessions, that empower themselves through the sessions, are still not wanting to have faith that they're worthy of love, that actually all of the crappy things that they've done in the past were experiences. They're fine. We needed them. We're fine. There's no judgment. We're fine. We're still holding on to some of our other choices, and thinking there can't have been a life contract to experience that I was so naughty, and using my free will to get me into trouble. And the teams will get us in track if we are too off path. And another big
Mm.
thing that they're saying, quite heavily now in sessions privately, with lots of clients, is is like this frustrating thing for us humans is, oh yeah, you've got free will to play, but you're not here to play. Get back with your life contract, focus. It's a job,
Ah,
it's a mission, and
ah,
cut hobbies, focus, um and the life contract trumps anything. And so here we are trying to be like, I'm using free will to eat my way through my emotions, or whatever. They're going to get our attention. Um,
yeah.
it's very firm, and people are feeling very victim to it. I know, some
Yeah.
people are really pissed off and struggling. And so when you are not wanting to be of service according to your life contract, this is when you're going to pick up a whole lot of physical issues that are going to irritate the shit out of you. Because I guess kind of like we're irritating the shit out of them when we're not being of service the way we're supposed to be because of our skill
Fair
set,
enough. Yeah.
whatever.
And I'm seeing a lot of big physical reminders, just in my own immediate circle, heart attacks, strokes, like all over the place. It's pretty wild. They're not subtle anymore, yeah.
Do you think that this is their awakening? Do you think this is because of a vaccination? What do you think's going on for them?
No, it seems both the people I know that have had heart attacks are over the top workaholics. Work, 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 to the point, they're avoiding their inner issues at all. They just bury themselves in work. Both of these people that I know, one is an old girlfriend and one is my ex brother-in-law. Both had heart attacks, and I guarantee both of them are life lessons. Like you need to slow down, need to think about things.
Yep.
And I share, a little bit with them. Just like just spend some time with yourself, just think things through.
Yeah. Well,
Because life is kind of telling you to do that. And not only that, other injuries. I have a friend that has my knees are shot and all this is, life is telling you to slow down and think about things. Acknowledge that,
yeah.
honor that.
Absolutely. I have to say, I have to confess that I was thinking maybe I should buy some running shoes and just start off doing. I'm not joking. I'm not kidding you. This is the damn truth. I would buy some shoes, then I could start doing some more because I used to run. I used to love it. And I'm not kidding you. I was like, I'm going to commit to this, because I want to do some more walking and I could start even getting, build up to running. And I thought I can't tell anyone because I love that joke so much, and I'm not kidding you. My ankle, they just went this weird pin of this
Yeah.
ankle pain. And I
So
was like, oh, I was already thinking about running, like they were just like,
wild.
don't you dare. Don't you
Totally
dare.
preemptive there. That's wild.
I know. I was like, okay. And I was like, like, are you serious? Like, because I was just thinking, and they're like, no, because I've done some interesting things with my foot. I've broken my foot before. Like it's impossible bone to break. I broke it. And then I always used to get really bad ankle sprains. Just by walking, I would sprain an ankle and I wouldn't even twist it. And so something's going on for me there. And it was really interesting. They are trying to say to me about there is something with volunteers, or maybe it's just my contract, but they are saying to me very firmly now, we had to, you didn't want to come into the bodies. Didn't want to come into the bodies. And so we had to give you the most limber bodies possible so you couldn't feel the density as much. And so I'm hyper flexible. And so and I'm asking them, is this a consistency with, they're saying some volunteers actually don't mind bodies. So they went and fully hogged into a full body. But apparently I was a diva and when I was choosing my life contract, and I didn't want to have a rigid body. And I'm saying I assumed that sort of people who weren't so flexible, they had lots of trauma from other lifetimes. That I was holding them down, weighing them down to make them focus on the other stuff versus being distracted with the body. It's always, it's so diverse, and I find it. I am very aware that I overgeneralize and talk about a lot of people in one category when, it's just a lot of people in my personal life versus, the reality of. So that sort of stops me from sharing. So I need to figure out how to express myself and my concerns. So I probably should just talk about me more versus, the audience of overgeneralizations. So it makes sense why I have a very flexible body, but it can get into trouble when you do things because to engage like with yoga,
Yeah.
you hyper, so they, when I was exploring it, I felt like yoga was not going to be good for me, but Pilates would be because it's not expansion of self. It is about supporting and anyway, sorry. That's another.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
So what are you going to do for us with the music? Are you going to make some soundtracks and share it with us, or what do you how are you going to get your gift to us?
You know, based on your reaction to that video I sent you, it makes me feel a little more confident in doing recordings because I had thought this was kind of a you must be in the room kind of thing. You know, it didn't really transfer well to
Right.
even stereo, but I think maybe it does. So maybe yeah, I because like I said, I have kind of this structural set that I do, and it would be really good just to publish that. You know, activate the Merkaba, connect to
Yeah.
your higher self, and time the joy ball. Just it'd be it could be like a 10-minute thing, and
Yeah.
I'm inspired to do that now. Now that I know it actually works and people respond to it, and the recording is worth it. Yeah, I'm inspired, and I can do that. And it can do short bites. You know, when we do a sound journey, it's typically an hour and a half, and no one's going to sit at the computer. Well, not many people will sit at the computer and listen to the whole thing. So I think the way to be do it is nice little 10-minute bites, and I'll do the activations kind of like I do in a normal journey, and it seems to work. Yeah, it's
Definitely. Yeah, I would be using that 10-minute one that you gave me as a little espresso pickup, just to clear anything. It was really interesting. There was super old stuff from, decades ago.
wow,
Um, Often I'm experiencing in dream state, experiencing being with people who are having their life reviews, and being with them when they're reviewing what they were doing, what we were doing together as human, as they're going through their life review, and I'm supporting them through that and being able to give them the perspective of, it's fine, this is the lessons we it's weird because they are coming to who they are, so they know they've died, they know they're going through their life review, and I'm with them, supporting them through this journey. And so when I wake up, I think, have they died?
yeah,
There is just this time thing, which is fantastically mind fucking me, and I love it.
yeah. That's the one thing I cannot get my brain around is the concept of nonlinear time. That's
Mm,
just it can read about it and read about it and read about it, but I don't really.
sure.
It's hard for me to absorb that and understand it.
It's a really good one to do in a session. If you want to do another session with me, I'm here for it. Where they explain it so well, but they will give us the analogies or the concepts of it, really clearly. So when you're in the session, you're like, oh, I understand it so perfectly. It's
Yeah,
fantastic. And then you come out of the session and you get a bit human again, and then you're like, oh, I am aware of it. I was aware of it once. I'm good.
right, right.
Okay, well, however you are inspired, my friend, to give up, because our audience, our friends that listen, all of the people that listen are our friends who are the audience as well, labels and names, soul family, brothers and sisters, aunties and uncles. Um, they would be quite used to that 15-minute meditation, right? They can get
Right.
relaxed. They can dismiss the worries of the washing and, the fact that Joe just said that she was thinking about running, like we can get over all of that worries and that chatter, and we can go within quite quickly. And that's what they're wanting us to train ourselves with, that 15-minute. So for those people,
Yeah.
like, I've of the words, I've done my pyramid, thank you very much, I'm ace at that. That is I've done it, I get it. But what do you do with that what do you do with that state of being that we've been training all last year basically to be with? And a sound thing from someone who is truly, and I love to be able to endorse and promote true people who have got true talents and are really connected in, and this is your life purpose and contract, really it is.
Yeah.
For you to, not pressure, but if you could just fix the world with just a
Yeah.
15.
So one bowl hit. We'll be all set. And send now. Boom.
Oh, okay, yeah, no
I'll
pressure,
get
no.
on that.
Well, then, yeah, I mean, I know people would be like, well, don't just, don't skimp out on the time. We want it longer. But, even just small parts of it is a
Yeah.
great meaning for us because, we're still quite busy with our days. And I think if I was on a train or a bus or commuting and I didn't have to have my hands on,
Yeah.
um, just listening to this a few times in between meetings.
Headphones.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Honest. And there is something about, I don't know the names of the instruments or something, but there are a few of my favorite sounds where it's this higher pitch, and it kind of feels like when you hear this, you're like, right, that's it. I'm focusing now. I'm all set to go. I can't, it's magic. It's fucking magic.
It
And
is magic. Yeah.
yeah, well, I was telling my partner about it, how I had experienced this journey within a journey. And I was coming to talk to you, and he was like, I think it was almost like he was like, oh, I think he may be even interested to kind of listen to it as well, see how that goes.
Yes. Spread it around. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm inspired to do more of this. This is cool. I'll do a little 10, 15-minute bites and some description with it. Authentic description of what it's really doing. Yeah.
Yeah. How would you like me to do you want me to share the link? Do you want me to share a link of the information, the session that you, I mean, we can talk about this before I post this video, because I think this video is going to be live and where people can chat and support each other while we're listening, and knowing that we can listen to it again, but it's like an online community of people who want to chat while listening to us.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Something new that they want to do this year, and I'm not too sure why. Because
So
it's,
like text chatting underneath the video kind of thing?
yeah, so the
Yeah.
live, I don't really know all the ways to use YouTube and things like that. So, there is fun things for that. But I think they're wanting people to feel excited about, coming session, to have a conversation, to be hanging out with us. Of course, they don't have to do it live. I mean, it's hard to work out everyone's time zones. See, just
We're all over the world. Yeah.
yeah, I've never been in the same time zone as you. I'm always, this is my Tuesday morning at 9:30, and I love it. But it feels like we're in the same time, right? That
Isn't it
we're not.
strange? It still freaks me out that I'm talking to someone on the other side of the world in real time. I was
Right?
around before the internet, so this is all still,
Same,
whoa.
same, my goodness, absolutely same. Yeah, and it's a gift. The internet. I know that there was going people were afraid that there's going to be more propaganda and more control through the computers, and yes, there is that, but there is so
Oh
much
yeah.
more community. Imagine that. Imagine a life without us knowing each other.
But step back 100 years, you're on the other side of the world.
What shape do you
Everyone knew
think the
everybody locally.
world, what shape do you think the world is, my friend?
Yeah.
Labels and names. Okay, another time. Okay, well, thank you so much, my darling. You are just a gift. You really are. And to know that there are so many amazing souls who are here, honoring their life contracts, honoring their journey, loving themselves, and loving all of us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure talking with you and just hearing your voice. You do so much. It's hard to even comprehend how much you do. It really is. And we appreciate it. There's a bunch of us here that are, we're tied in. We're in for the road, and you're kind of the point person for us. Very much appreciated and love to support. Anything I can do to support, I'm very glad to do that. The editing's working out good. I feel like it's one of the few jobs I'm actually qualified for that I've had in my life.
It's
Like I can
amazing.
read that stuff and I understand it. There aren't probably too many people that do.
Yeah, this is why I sort of feel like these next books are more advanced. Um, and I'm not trying to say that to be like an elite wanker, but it's like, you've got to have so much of the information as a smorgasbord to digest it, to be able to be open to this. And I think we're just here to support our soul family and friends, and those people who are struggling to figure out, well, what am I supposed to do? Where's my sort of special skill set? Talking to people and asking them how they're feeling, and get them to talk about their feelings, pulling it out of them for them to feel safe to share their feelings. That's heroes work. That
It
is,
is. I know.
that's it. If you can do that, that is heroes work. That is amazing. And I feel like advanced beings know that they can be able to help so much more and want to help so much more because of their wisdom and knowledge. And just those interactions, those single serving conversations with people at the supermarket, for example, that ripple out effect is gigantic. But we dismiss it because, we know we're advanced and we want to like tell people the bigger information. But honoring someone at just a soul human level is profound. Anyway, okay, my friend.
Awesome.
Love you. Chat to
Thank you.
later.